fear is the weapon of tyrants. That's a line that I heard the other day, and the person that said it was really talking about the upcoming presidential election. And I think it certainly has relevance for that arena and everything surrounding politics in our country today and the discussion around it as well. But I also think it's a really powerful quote for leaders and particularly business owners, especially if you look through the lens of your marketing and messaging. How does this apply? Well, fear is the weapon of tyrants. What is fear, right? It's a base level core emotion, right? It's related to anxiety, worry, paranoia, right? Those are all external or peripheral emotions of that core emotion that is fear. And people have become pretty savvy about human nature, and they know, man, if I want to get someone to do something, one strategy for making that happen is to play on their base level fears. We can see how this occurs in the presidential election upcoming, right? Because political candidates are especially adept at painting all of the horrible possibilities of the apocalyptic future that could happen if you don't vote for them and instead choose to follow their opponents, right? They're playing on people's base level fears and saying, this person's going to take your guns, they're going to take your kids, they're going to take everything, right? That's why you have to stay away from them and move towards me, right? Well, we could talk about politics and all of that another time, but I mean, think about how we often adopt this strategy ourselves. You see it all the time in people's email subjects, right? There are 10 mistakes that could crush your business, right? The one thing you're doing right now that will cause you to fail in the future, right? There's all these titles that play on people's base level fears. I got an email the other day that kind of sparked this line of thinking for me, that it said, Alex, you deserve better than what you're currently getting. Golly. So that makes me afraid that it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not reaching my potential. But it also just plays on this sense of entitlement within the consumer. And here's the deal. As it relates to the political discussion, I believe we get the government that we deserve, right? As it relates to the marketing discussion, I believe you get the customers that you deserve. And if you market to people's base level fears, don't be surprised whenever you have a customer base that is paranoid, that is anxious, that is constantly worried, and that is always afraid, right? Because those are the people that you were messaging to. Conversely, what would it look like for you, and equally importantly for your team, to speak to the higher angels of people's nature, to focus on emotions like gratitude and hope and a positive vision of the future? Now, I'll tell you, there's a cost associated with this. The cost is that it's not going to be as viral, most likely. It's not going to be as hot takey. It's not going to be as sexy. It's not going to be as certainly people aren't going to talk about it as much. It's a little bit more of a slow growth strategy. But I would rather opt for slow growth that is rooted in integrity than fast growth that is rooted in playing on people's worst and most base level emotions. I just don't think it's good. I don't think it's healthy, and I don't think it's wise. And I don't think it actually creates the results that you actually want. So what do we need to do? We need to make sure that we're not just following the crowd in communicating to people's worst and greatest fears. We need to make sure that when we're thinking about our marketing, when we're thinking about our messaging, when we're thinking about our leadership, that we're not just focusing on what we're against, but rather focusing on what we're for and casting a compelling vision of what hopefully could be. Fear is the weapon of tyrants. Let's go.